Kids and cadets, welcome back to Tommy Time. You're looking at a 21-inch Troy-Bilt with the 675 engine, self-propelled. This has a production date September of 2010. I just took it in on trade. A nice young family came out. They brought me this. Gentleman said that it would start, no power, and then after a little bit of grass cutting, it would conk out. So I sold him a TB Troy-Bilt, just like this Craftsman. I had a twin to this Craftsman. I had them both listed for $120. He said he liked Troy-Bilts. I said they're all the same. The only thing they change is that sticker there in the front. So he took the Troy-Bilt anyway. So I had it listed for $120. I gave him a generous trade of $40 for this. I said, how does 80 cash sound? He was thrilled to get the Troy-Bilt for $80. So he left, and we're going to look this thing over. I asked him, I said, well, why don't you let me look at it? You don't have to buy a machine from me. I'll fix this Troy-Bilt for you. He said, no, I'm tired of messing with it. I got it at a pawn shop, and I just don't want this one anymore. I'm just going to take the standard pusher. I don't need the self-propelled. So I said, oh, you've been using the electric start? I see that it's all there. I opened up the trap door for the battery and noticed we just have an air box in there. There's no battery. So he said, I just been pulling it, pull starting it. I never got a battery for it. I've got some motorcycle batteries around. I could try to put one on temporarily just to see if it works. This may be the only case where I leave the electrics in place if it starts off. I'll do some Googling and find a battery that'll fit in there. We got 2 keys, and the start feels like it's got action in the spring. So if the start is good, we'd be in good business for this. Otherwise, all this crap's coming off. Because I go to sell it, people see this and think, oh, electric start, and then it don't work. They want to take $90 off the price. That ain't happening. So let's, for the fun of it, start this thing. I haven't tried it, and see what he's talking about. He said low power would barely run. He'd cut a little bit and it would quit out when it got in some grass. So this is a priming unit. There is fuel in it. There's barely enough fuel in it, and it's slightly overfilled on the oil level. It should not go past that top hole, but it'll be fine enough just to try to start this. I'll do an oil change on it anyway. Okay, a lot of smoke, and it did sound like it was smoothing out there for a minute. Then it started choking on itself again. So with this being the priming unit, we know it's not the automatic choke vane or anything like that screwing up. This is forcing gas in to start. So if the primer's working, there's another issue with this thing choking out. Let's pop that air filter off, see if there's a bunch of snot in the throat of the carb. Okay, there is some oil down here. Very oily there on the backing plate. Some oil residue down here where it ended up at the bottom of the cover. And this looks kind of saturated. It's just not dust, there's some oil buildup here. With it being overfilled, we may have had some oil issue here on the air filter. So maybe this thing was suffocating. Let's try it now without this filter, see if it improves, or if it don't, then we got contaminated fuel, old fuel, some kind of fuel. So the primer is working. I looked under there and it is burping up fuel. Usually there's issues with this thing pushing fuel on these priming quantums. I find that the backing plates here get warped. Sometimes you got to double up the gasket in order to get a nice seal to push air through the carb, and then it burps it up through the emulsion tube. But this one's working. So that mimicked what he must have been experiencing. It would start for a little bit and then eventually choke itself out, and we see why. This is just saturated too much with oil, no air getting to the carburetor. So there you go, another example of a $2 filter killing a machine. So the front wheel drive there engaged when I initially started it when it was choking. So I think this is just going to be a cleanup turn this thing around and get rid of it again. I'll try to put a small battery in there. I got some Chinese scooters and a couple extra batteries. I'll see if I can fit one into that cartridge there, the container box. I had to take a wire brush to the ID plate. It was so rusty. I had to find out what the model year was, September 2010. So that's that. Let's, for the heck of it, turn this over. See if he chopped large boulders, curbs, stones, 6-inch oak logs, whatever. Unfortunately, he had the blade on backwards or upside down, whatever you want to say. You see how the flat washers there, the blade's upside down. It should go on like this with the divot facing the grass. He's got it turned around like that and bolted on. So what's happening is this back side is actually hitting the grass, and that's just a blunt part of the blade. You want this side facing the ground. But it's pretty much only one way to put it on, with the divot here facing you, but apparently not. Five-eighths. I'm going to undo the plug just so I don't lose my right arm. So it is a bow tie blade, and that is a bow tie adapter there. So I guess it's not self-explanatory. I thought they made these so people would understand they only go on one way. You can see how smooth this is, and all the grass wear here from it hitting that leading edge. I'll put an edge on this. It's not totally sharp, but it's not beat up. I'll put an edge on that right now. There was just some rust there from it not being on correctly. You get the idea. That's the proper way. Cutting edge of the blade facing down. Anyway, I'm going to get to work on this one. I wasn't sure if I was going to be doing a carb clean on it, the way he described the running condition of it. Running rough, no power, and then stalling. I thought I might have had a contaminated fuel system. So there you go, September 2010 production year on this TB 675. Anyway, you never know what you're going to come across. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. This happened to be an easy one. He should have let me fix it for him. I would have had this thing rectified in about 10 minutes. He could have come back and snatched it up. For the cost of an air filter, oil change, and I would have sharpened the blade for him. But he got a good TB pusher out of the deal, I think, for $80, so all is good. You guys have a good day today. Appreciate you coming out, checking out Tommy Time. Something's always new and somewhat exciting here. Thanks for coming out.